between Jay Trumbull, who is currently serving as the state representative for District 6, representing most of Bay County. He is also president of Bush Air Conditioning and Whitehead Plumbing. We also have Regina Piazza. Did I say that right?
You did, thank you.
She is an Air Force veteran, a two-time business owner, and has served as director for Classical Conversation, a Christian homeschooling organization in the Destin and the surrounding areas. So thank you both for being here. I want to go over the rules again. The first debate, they did a great job. We had a little too much applause. Save that till the end, and you can rah-rah your candidate at that time, but it takes away from the time that I can ask questions and the candidates can, more importantly, answer the questions that you guys want to hear. So please be respectful of the candidates and all those in attendance at all times. Please hold all applause until the end of the debate in order for more questions to be asked. No jeering or booing. No signs, banners, flags, noisemakers allowed in the debate venue. And no placing literature on chairs in the debate venue. If you have a cell phone here with you tonight, please at this time turn it off, throw it in the bag, whatever you want to do with it. And once again, that time, we need the time to quiet the audience. Or when we have to do that, it does take away from the opportunity for the candidates to be able to answer those questions. Spectators not abiding by the rules will be escorted out of the debate venue. We don't want to do that. So let's just everybody have a good, vigorous debate tonight. Through the toss of a coin, we're going to have a 2-minute opening statement. Mr. Trumbull, you said okay, so they'll keep me straight, I guess. Ms. Piazza, 2 minutes.
Okay, awesome. Well, first of all, thank y'all for being here tonight. This is super, super, super exciting. And it's exciting for me because it's an honor to share not only my heart and history with you, but also my character and my competence with you this evening. So thank you so much for being here. I do have a written remark here because my son fell and broke his arm recently, and so the memory work was gifted to my child. Anyhow, the point is I'm Regina Piazza, and I am your only conservative woman Republican candidate who has a passion for all of the 7 counties in District 2. And I believe in faith, family, and Florida. Faith. I am a conservative Christian, and I absolutely believe that our founding documents are on point. On point because we are endowed by our Creator with certain unalienable rights. And it's these founding principles that undergird my conservative values. My family, your family, families are the bedrock of society. And I have worked across our counties to not only unite and empower all of families to have authority over their educational rights, but I was also in the Air Force, as mentioned, as a plumber and a heavy equipment operator in an all-male unit. I have been a single working mom taking classes. I've been a foster mom, and now I am married with 3 children. I've been in the trenches, ladies and gentlemen, and I am prepared to advocate for you and your family as well. Our district is absolutely the tip of the spear for freedom, but it's up to us to work together, right? To hold the line, not just hold the line, but let's drive the ball forward together. So my prosperity pathway, it revolves around graduates, opportunities, and development. And I am Regina Piazza, your candidate for Representative Senate in District 2.
Thank you. The timekeeper is right down here in front.
Thank you.
He will be showing you both candidates. 15-second warning time, and then the red folder means you really have to wrap it up so we can give the other candidate time. Thank you.
My apologies, James.
Opening for you, Mr. Trumbull.
Thank you very much, and no worries. And honestly, Regina, I want to say thank you for your service to our country and for the other folks that are here. Thank you for your service to our country. It's an awesome opportunity to be here tonight to be able to voice some of our opinions and views. But really, I want to say thank you to the REC for taking the time to do this. For those of you who are in the trenches every single day, not just during campaign season, thank you for what you do. I was first elected to the State House in 2014, and I ran because I was a small businessman just starting out and believed that we need young, small business people involved to keep government small and out of the way. During my tenure, we've cut billions in taxes, we've reduced red tape, and made Florida the school choice leader in our nation. But that wasn't all. During my time, we suffered through a major oil spill crisis, but that was just preparation for dealing with a Category 5 hurricane in Hurricane Michael. I had the opportunity to work with so many of you, with then Governor Scott and President Trump, to begin the process of rebuilding Bay County and thankfully Tyndall Air Force Base. And it has been one of the great honors of my career to be elected during that time. So honestly, at the end of my 8 years in the House, I was ready to come home, focus on my businesses and our family. Bree and I have 3 children now. When we first got elected, had their kids. But really, over the past 2 years, there's been a change in this country. Joe Biden and the radical left are waging a war on the American people with woke ideology that we have never seen before. Common Core, critical race theory, and transgenderism. And they use the crisis of COVID to try to completely take over our economy and healthcare system at every single level. I'm proud of the role I've played in standing with Governor DeSantis, making us the free state of Florida. And we used to be the Sunshine State, but now we are the Freedom State. But this war with the left is just going to continue. So when George Gaynor said he was not going to run again, for the sake of the future and for my children, I felt the urge to continue to help push back.
Mr. Trumbull,
So I'm running
short on time.
All right, real quick. 2 more lines. So I'm running for state senate. I'm honored to have the endorsement of Governor Ron DeSantis, but more importantly, I would very much appreciate your endorsement as well. Thank you.
Thank you for your opening statements. Once again, we have time to keep it down in front. Just keep an eye on him, and he'll help you with closing, wrapping up your statements. We're going to now move into the question and answer period. You will each get the same question. I will reread the question for each candidate. You have 2 minutes to answer the question, both candidates, and then each candidate will have a 45-second rebuttal time. By toss of the coin, Jay, you'll get the first question. If you win your race, what will be your top priority when you go to Tallahassee to represent us? And how do you differ most from your opponent?
So I appreciate that question, Daryl. And you know, one thing that I've been extremely proud of over my last 8 years in the Florida House is to be able to reel back tremendous amounts of taxes, to reel back a tremendous amount of red tape that businesses deal with. And like I said in the onset of my opening, you know, to really help our communities come back from Hurricane Michael. My number one goal is to continue to push the envelope with what Governor DeSantis has done and what legislative leaders have done in the last few years. You know, we are seeing, like I said, an absolute attack on our state, whether that's from woke companies or woke ideas, or really the federal government through administrative rule or whatever have you, trying to completely dismantle the way that we live. And so my goal is to continue to push back on that. And I think, you know, to answer the last part of your question, the most way that I differentiate between my opponent, I think, would be that I've served in the legislature for 8 years, but most importantly, have the endorsement of the greatest governor in the country right now.
Thank you. Ms. Piazza, same question to you. If you win your race, what will be your top priority when you go to Tallahassee to represent us, and how do you differ most from your opponent?
Awesome. So my top priorities are a little bit of an acronym. It is graduates, opportunity, and development. And graduates, because those are students who are our future. And the top priority for me is that when those students that are being produced right now, who are next citizens, they are being produced as the next citizens and souls of our nation, right? And so with that, we will fight for parent-directed educational choice and advocate for vocational technical schools to minimize the shortage of skilled labor. That's our graduates. Our opportunity is that as a 2-time small business owner, I will support more businesses and locating here and expanding here in District 2 while utilizing a cross-county strategic approach. The D is development, and I will promote workforce development that will help educate, train, and sustain our workers. And how do we do that? I will collaborate with innovative businesses because I already am. Innovative businesses to establish not only inexpensive housing, but can we talk about attainable housing and sustainable housing and transportation? Those are major catalysts, major concerns in our 7-county district at this point. Taxes are super important, please don't get me wrong, and I am an absolute advocate for the lowest magistrate possible, that we start at the bottom and then we work our way up. We do not start at the top and work our way down to the local, right? So GOD is what we need to remember. Graduates, the opportunities, and development are my top 3 priorities when I am elected to be your senator for District 2.
Mr. Trumbull, 45-second response.
Yes, thank you very much. One thing about these debates is you're going to have a lot of overlap as far as what people think about. But one thing that I was really proud of something that we did this last session is two things. One was we really focused on making Florida the safest place to be. We've passed House Bill 1, which was a riot bill. We've passed House Bill 15, which really focused on our law enforcement. But also one other thing is we are starting to treat workforce as it should be treated, like a business, and really trying to get folks funneled into the workforce program to get the right jobs so that they do have higher paying wages, so that the burden of being able to purchase a house is not so severe moving forward.
Piazza, 45-second response.
Sure, you bet. The interesting thing about education, right, and opportunities and also development is the fact that everything does start with education, right? And it starts with education because, like we mentioned, that's where your citizens and your souls are formed. And we have so stripped away in our society the fundamental principles that undergird our society, and the life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness is gone, right? The next thing that is gone is we don't know how to think anymore. We don't know how to think, and therefore we don't have the skill sets because we've removed the skill sets from our education system. So we can certainly pay higher wages, but can I ask, where on earth is a small business going to get more money than they are taxed to death as it is already?
Thank you. Next question goes to Ms. Piazza.
Yes, sir.
Both of you have described yourselves as conservative. What does conservatism mean to you?
Me first.
Yes.
Oh, great. I love words. I like words a lot because I'm a classical educator. So, to conserve means to protect and to preserve. And to benefit from that, we must preserve one another. We must preserve life. We must preserve liberty, not just freedom, but what is the definition of liberty these days? And we do need to preserve each other's right to happiness. So what is a conservative? A conservative is one who is willing to sacrifice themselves for the greater benefit of you and you and you. It's called human flourishing, ladies and gentlemen, and we are sorely lacking in that. We must conserve each other's hearts and minds. Otherwise, there will be no civilization. We will not be here having any more conversations. I am a true conservative because I have been in the trenches. I am a classical educator, learning how to think with my children and other families as well, in order to conserve, to protect and preserve the rights that we have been given by God and by our Constitution.
Mr. Trumbull, same question to you. Both of you have described yourselves as conservatives. What does conservatism mean to you?
Daryl, conservatism at its core, I think, means, it's almost leaning towards libertarian now. I just want government out of the way of what I do. I want to be able to raise my family. I want to be able to go to work. And I don't want to have government intruding in all of that. I want to spend less than I bring in. I want to be able to go to church and not have to worry about what that might mean for the left. I want to make sure that we do things at our core. When we're talking about what does conservatism mean in Tallahassee, we're doing things which are to my core, which mean that I believe you spend your money much better than the state or any other government spends your money. So the more money that we can put back in the pockets of the people, the better. That's what conservatism means.
Ms. Piazza, 45-second response.
Yeah, and Jay is so right? And that goes back to the people's rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Ain't nobody need to be taking our money from us in the first place. Thank you very much. Just like nobody needs to be I'm sorry, that was my father speaking, excuse me. The reality is it's my money in the first place. Nobody else owns it. And that's why the lowest magistrate is crucial. Tallahassee doesn't get to tell me what they're going to do with what I make, right? We get to decide right here in the municipality of Lynn Haven, right? In Destin, Florida, right? Up in Crestview or Defuniak Springs, we at the lowest magistrate get to decide what we're going to do with our money so that we can take care of each other, thus conserve each other.
Mr. Trumbull, would you care a 45-second response?
No, sir, I'm good.
Our next question goes to Mr. Trumbull. Your Senate district includes key U.S. military installations at Tyndall and Eglin Air Force Base. Both Bay and Okaloosa communities are reliant on these bases. Do you support the ban on offshore drilling off our coast, which protects military readiness, and the training missions for both Tyndall and Eglin, even as gas prices soar near $5 a gallon?
Yes, I absolutely believe that we should preserve the Gulf training range. That is absolutely paramount to both Tyndall and Eglin. Yeah, I sort of reject a little bit the last part of the question, which is, will offshore drilling in our Gulf, within the Gulf training range, affect gas prices? Sure, they might, but if President Biden didn't shut off oil supply to the country, that would also reduce the cost. And I think that's what we have to get more resilient and reliant on is U.S. oil and U.S. fuels, rather than buying it from some other country who doesn't believe in our dollar anymore. But the most important thing, in my opinion, to keep the missions at both Tyndall and Eglin are keeping that Gulf test range open. And I have fought in written letters since being elected to the Congress and the Department of Energy to make sure that does not happen.
Same question to you, Ms. Piazza. Your Senate district includes key U.S. military installations of Tyndall and Eglin Air Force Base. Both Bay and Okaloosa communities are reliant on these bases. Do you support the ban on offshore drilling off our coast, which protects military readiness and the training missions for both Tyndall and Eglin, even as gas prices soar near $5 a gallon?
Yes and amen. And primarily because I myself have been in the Air Force, as mentioned previously, as a plumber and a heavy equipment operator. My husband, Tom, has been 22 years in the Air Force, and we are actually still serving the active duty military special operators on Eglin. The majority of the finances that come into Eglin are actually from our military community, versus what we have in Bay County, which is the hospitality industry. Why is that important? Military readiness is absolutely crucial to our American safety here. And you know what's super awesome is innovation, is creativity, and that's who we are, right? We as Americans are innovative and creative, right? It's why we are a republic. So what does that have to do with offshore drilling? Hey, you know what? I talked to a gentleman the other day speaking about cross-collaborating among the counties. You know what he said? Hey, Regina, hey, here's an awesome idea how we can get some energy into Florida like that. And I said, ooh, do tell. He says, you know what? You know some of those coal mines that are sitting out there? How about we just repurpose some of those? And I said, hey, I don't think we have any coal mines in Florida. And so anyway, we're talking back and forth. You know what the brilliance of innovation is in the American spirit? Is that we can take those coal mines and repurpose them into hydro energy. Whoa, get down on that. That hydro energy is so stinking inexpensive that we can covet that and we can take our nation back. But that's not the best part. The best part is we can take oil, right, that we have right here, even a little bit that sweet little Biden has given to us. Isn't that so kind? That he can do that for us, and we can repurpose that too and to liquefy it and bring it into us. Did you realize that the fact that the way that we send our energy to and from in the United States is the cleanest, safest in all of the world, and it is more a safety precaution coming from anywhere else? We've got a myriad of options here, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get on it.
Thank you very much. Response, 45 seconds, Mr. Trumbull.
Sure. Daryl, when I served on the Florida Defense Support Task Force, that was our main goal, was to ensure that the Gulf Test Range was safe. And to Regina's point, if that goes away, that represents 35% of Bay County's economy. And what the $5 billion it's about to be, that has been appropriated to rebuild Tyndall Air Force Base to be the base of the future, it is just extremely important for us to make sure that the Gulf Test Range is never impeded on, and to make sure that we do everything in our power as far as anything that the state can do to be able to prop up our military installations.
Ms. Piazza, any response, 45 seconds?
I'm all about military readiness, ladies and gentlemen. I was Red Horse. So I can tell you right now, triple R, right? Rapid runway repair and readiness all day long. And so when we talk about being a conservative, you either put up or you shut up, right? Somebody just told me recently with regards to readiness, stop complaining and start campaigning. So we've got a lot to do in a short amount of time to do it. So we need to step up, and we need to step out, and we need to do it together. And we have the opportunity, as Jay is saying. We've got Tyndall here, we've got the 2 zones that are rocking the house in the development right now. And we are in a crucial situation where we need housing, and we need skilled labor. Let's go.
I'd like to thank both candidates on that question. It read like a proposed constitutional amendment. This next question goes to Mr. Piazza. Governor Ron DeSantis said multiple times last session that if the House and the Senate would pass constitutional carry legislation, that he would sign it. Will you co-sponsor legislation similar to the Anthony Sabatini HB 103, which was blocked by this year's Republican legislature?
Oh, yes, I would. Primarily because, we talk about constitutional carry and the Second Amendment. Really, those seem to be buzzwords more than anything these days, right? But what does that really mean? What does it mean, Second Amendment? And what is the relationship to the First? Why is it in that order, ladies and gentlemen? Here's why I say yes. Is because if we do not have the right to defend ourselves, then guess what else is getting ready to be taken? Your property and your voice. Isn't it interesting that East Germany put up a wall? Did they put up a wall to keep the people in or the people out? They put it up to keep the people in, ladies and gentlemen. They stripped them of their rifles, their pistols, all of their protection they stripped them of. And as far as the red flag law goes, are y'all crazy? No. No. Since when does due process not win anymore? When? That is the most insane thing that I've ever heard. So back to the question, the answer is we will constitutional carry here in the state of Florida. We will defend each other because we are conservatives, right? And we will make sure that our people are provided for mental health-wise and not penalize the regular standing up people of our free state of Florida. For those who need mental health issues, we have got the solution for that. And it's 2 different concepts at this point. So let's make the main thing be the main thing, And we're going to remain free because we don't have the red flag and we have our guns, ladies and gentlemen, of which I carry. And my children know how to shoot, and so does my husband.
Mr. Trumbull, same question to you. Governor Ron DeSantis said multiple times last session that if the House and the Senate would pass constitutional carry legislation, that he would sign it. Will you co-sponsor legislation similar to Anthony Sabatini's HB 103, which was blocked by this year's Republican legislature?
Yes. Absolutely. There's no. I completely agree with what Ms. Johnson just said. If we don't, we have a right to assembly, we have a right to free speech. We have none of those rights without our Second Amendment. Our governor has been staunch on so many things. If there was a bill that was brought to us that his office brought to us, I would absolutely sponsor it.
Ms. Piazza, response, 45 seconds.
Amen.
Jay, would you like to add?
Yes, sir.
Next question goes to Mr. Trumbull. Housing costs are one of the biggest issues facing the Panhandle. Rents and housing prices have skyrocketed in recent years, while homeowners have faced increased insurance costs and fewer choices. What can the state do to keep Florida affordable for residents?
So this last special session, the governor gave the legislature a bill for insurance costs. And I'm sure, like me, everybody has seen an incredible increase in the property insurance. There is not a one-time fix. What I appreciated about this particular proposal was we were not putting money in the pockets of the insurance companies. We were putting money to be able to buy down some of this reinsurance, which I think is incredibly important. The problem is there's no policy that we could have that is going to fix that issue today. And what we did do is we figured out who the bad actors were, and we decided that we would tackle those bad actors, whether that was fraudulent roofers, whether that was people bringing fraudulent claims. But also these insurance companies have been bad actors. All of us who lived through Hurricane Michael know how bad an insurance company can be. So making sure that we hold them accountable, and making sure that the government agencies associated with holding them accountable stay true to that. How do we keep property values or the cost of entry low? And I think you have to, like I said in a couple of questions ago, you have to find a way to raise wages. We have to find a way to reduce taxes. But one of the biggest things that's facing our local community and the communities across this Senate District 2, which we've been talking to folks, is labor. Labor we're in a really bad position, and it goes back to what the federal government has done, which is rewarded people for staying home, given them checks, and kept people out of the workforce. We have to raise up a generation of workforce, which is not going to happen tomorrow. But we have to raise up a generation of workforce that is going to make that will keep our communities prosperous. And the more folks that we have move into this community, which we are absolutely exploding, not just in Bay County, but across the other 7 counties as well. We are booming, and I'm so excited about that, and cannot wait to see what the next few years look like for our area.
Thank you, Mr. Trumbull. Same question to you, Ms. Piazza. Housing costs are one of the biggest issues facing the Panhandle. Rents and housing prices have skyrocketed in recent years, while the homeowners have faced increased insurance costs and fewer choices. What can the state do to keep Florida affordable for residents?
You know what is so exciting? Something that Brian Cloudis does amazing is door knocking. What is amazing about being with the people in the 7 counties of Okaloosa, Walton, Jackson, Holmes, Washington, Calhoun, and Bay County is this. You get to talk to them. You get to find out exactly what their concerns are and why. And that is crucial. And that's crucial to the housing conversation. It's crucial also to the insurance conversation. Why? Because you know what? How awesome it is that we went into special legislation recently regarding insurance. But the interesting thing is there is no immediate relief. There is zero immediate relief for my people in the 7 counties of District 2. We will have to wait 14 to 18 months before anything will be realized. And how does that affect my sweet little friend who I met up in Chipley just last week, who said, Regina, she's standing outside with the horses with her father. Regina, I work 2 jobs plus these little horses right here. Do you know where I live? I live in my car. I'm nearly homeless, Regina. That also weighs into the fact that there I am standing in the county commissioner's boardroom in Walton County, and the HUD development gentleman is there. You know what he said? There are no houses in Walton County. There are no houses in Walton County to provide for people. May I ask, what is the definition and the difference between attainable and affordable? I'm here to tell you right now, my people do not need affordable housing, because that is relative. What my people need in District 2 is attainable housing. And how are they going to get attainable housing? It's not because the legislature put a whole bunch of things in place. It's called innovative relationships with businesses who have sustainable and attainable processes and products. We have them right now. I know who they are.
Mr. Trumbull, 45 seconds to respond.
Sure. So, I think it's a slippery slope for government to get involved with affordable housing. That's why, I believe that it's important for us to give a hand up rather than a handout. And, as it was talked about in the previous in the previous debate, there are a lot of government programs that can afford people down payment assistance. One of my most exciting things that we did this last session was give another homestead tax exemption for law enforcement officers, as well as giving them raises. But the reality is that we have to come up with ways locally, have to get creative on how we're going to bring down housing costs. But that's not going to happen overnight. And I was thankful that I was able to run the governor's bill this last session on insurance, and hopefully that will have a meaningful change.
Ms. Piazza, 45-second response.
You bet. Here's something else that's really exciting, y'all. As it pertains to the attainable housing and innovative solutions for that, and the workaround, if you will, legislatively, is the fact that when we have companies who want to come into our awesome 7 counties, 2 of whom, by the way, are the poorest in the state of Florida. Why is that? Anyhow, the point is, when these awesome companies are desiring to come in, how about they have a little bit of skin in the game here? And they, instead of getting all the tax breaks that take away from my people, how about we say, you know what? We are conservatives in District 2. We are the beacon of light and hope on the hill. And if you want to come and play here, if you want to reside here, then guess what you get to do? You get to build some houses for my people. Guess what else you get to do? You get to help educate and mentor. Thank you.
Next question to Ms. Piazza. Governor DeSantis has made it clear in Florida that corporations cannot force their values onto their employees or customers. He recently made an example out of the Walt Disney Company. How will you balance the donations you may accept from large businesses with the values of your voters?
How will I balance the donors from big companies? I don't have any. Have I ever mentioned that we are the mamas and the papas here? We are absolutely grassroots. Take a peek at my finances real quick. You're going to find that out. That we are the mamas and the papas, and we are right here in this district. And as far as those values, hey, as conservatives, again, can we just talk back about that and circle into the fact that when these companies are coming in, how come we can't take the reins on that and give them a little questionnaire? What do you believe? Why do you believe what you believe? And how is that going to impact my people in District 2? You are not coming in here. Think that you're going to give all this business and you're going to give all these workers and employees. No, you're going to take care of my people first. And if you do not align with our conservative values here in District 2, as my dad would say, you can get to stepping. All right? Now, as far as Disney is concerned, I too worked for Walt Disney World as a concierge, bell services, and guest services at the Contemporary. And I will tell you, it was one of the best experiences of my entire life. And my daughter is there right now in the Disney College program for all the same reasons that Brian and I think it was awesome. It trained us up and provided an education that we would have never received in the gift of hospitality and the gift of people and over-delivering in ways that just knock people's socks off. So if you want to come and do business here, you better knock our socks off, because we're not taking any of your woke business, any of your liberalness here in District 2.
Mr. Trumbull, same question to you. Governor DeSantis has made it clear in Florida that corporations cannot force their values on their employees or customers. He recently made an example out of the Walt Disney Company. How will you balance the donations you may accept from large businesses with the values of your voters?
So the Florida Chamber gives out a report card every year, and they gave me a C. So you would think that, after seeing some larger donations that it would be higher than that, but not so much. Friends, I'm thankful that I was in the room when I was able to vote for the bill that most people refer to as the Don't Say Gay bill. My wife and I believe very much that those conversations happen in our house, and a mom and a dad should have that conversation with their child, not their kindergarten teacher. And so for Disney to do what they did, I was also very proud to be in the room when we made the swift decision to get rid of Reedy Creek, which was really probably a mistake to begin with before I was elected, but very thankful to see how the state of Florida was able to step in and make a statement. Not only their stock price, but also they're going to have to figure out how to staff all this stuff and how to make sure, really we hit them where it hurts. I think it was said earlier, we hit them in their pocketbook, and that's extremely, extremely important. You see people like, because of that and because of the moves that we made, you see Publix decide that they're not going to give a vaccine to children 5 and under now. And I think that is solely because of the decisions the legislature and the governor has made to push, or being willing to push back on some of these ridiculous ideologies.
Ms. Piazza, if you care to respond, 45 seconds.
Yeah, you bet. Thank you. One of the awesome things I appreciate Jay sharing about his rating with the Florida Chamber as a C. And again, I will say, as a classicalist, what does it take to get an A? I'm just wondering. And so I would also like to wonder about the fact of, define the terms on what an A is constituting for the Florida Chamber. What is the purpose of the Florida Chamber? The point I'm making here is that the strings that are attached to the Chamber, to those grades, to PACs who have been providing from Florida Flower to Disney, et cetera, not my campaign. Sorry.
Mr. Trumbull, response, 45 seconds.
I would just say this, that if there is a company that decides to give to my campaign in hopes for a backroom deal or whatever, it's a really bad investment on their part. And I think that's what that means as it relates to a C. Although D does stand for diploma, and I practiced that when I was in school. But the reality is that I'm going to continue to focus on our folks, the folks that live in Senate District 2, just like I have done the last 8 years, and make sure that when there are issues that we push back and focus on our values in this area.
Thank you. Next question goes to Mr. Trumbull. Do you believe Joe Biden won the 2020 presidential election fair and square, or do you believe there was widespread coordinated voter fraud? Do you believe Florida has the necessary improvements in our state to ensure free and fair elections in Florida?
Thank you, Daryl. Yes, I do believe that there was widespread fraud, that the election was stolen. I do believe that we lost this election in the mailbox and not at the ballot box. And I was very thankful that we had put swift changes in the Florida's law to make sure to shore up some of our issues. I believe that in this last election, Florida was probably the safest place to vote. But I believe after what we've done in this legislative sessions, we have been able to shore up a lot of those things. And I'll tell you, the governor's appointment of Cory Bird, who I've served with the last 6 years in the Court of House, to lead up, to head up the Department of State, I think was the best decision, and going to be the best person to be able to further that cause and make sure that our elections are safe.
Same question, Ms. Piazza. Do you believe Joe Biden won the 2020 presidential election fair and square? Or do you believe there was widespread coordinated voter fraud? Do you believe Florida has the necessary improvements in our state to ensure free and fair elections in Florida?
So, as a poll worker myself in Okaloosa County for a few elections, and also as the precinct woman for Destin, for my precinct in Destin, I can tell you with absolute certainty that it was absolutely stolen, because we have some of the greatest pieces of processes, chain of security. I know in our district for sure. I've sat there all day to watch it, to be in every one of the positions within that precinct. Now, here's the reality with all of this also. Is there a silver bullet to all of this? Some say take away the machine, some say get back to the paper, etc. But here's the reality. You know, all the way back to the 1800s, it's been stolen, ladies and gentlemen. And why is that possible? Is because it's something called greed. And if we take our eyes, conservatives, off of the real opportunities that we have in front of us, and that real opportunity is getting involved, being a poll worker, going door to door and making sure that the rolls are clean, then who's going to do it? We're pointing the finger everywhere, except for the fact that there's 3 more pointing back to me and you. So if you want something done, get up and go be a poll worker. If you don't want your election to be stolen, participate, for heaven's sakes. Otherwise, we're doomed. We are doomed. And we have an election coming up August 23rd. And you better make sure that you get to the polls and your friends get to the polls and they vote for Regina Piazza as your senator for District 2, or I'm coming after you.
I don't think I can respond to that.
Do you need to respond? Is there no response? Okay, our next question. Ms. Piazza.
Well, you're going to vote, Jay. So.
Okay, guys, it's my turn.
Oh, sorry.
So, Ms. Piazza.
Yes, sir.
What is your position on immigrants who came here illegally? How should the state of Florida respond to Biden's failure to secure the border?
Illegal immigration. Again, define your terms. What is illegal? Who's the authority on that definition of illegal? And what is immigration? And I ask those questions because if we are a republic, right, empowered by the people, then we don't need anyone to govern us except for us, right? We wouldn't really necessarily need all these people that the Biden administration continues to sweetly bring into our nation, COVID and all. I do not see another country in the world that has an open border. If anyone can show me where that is the case, I would gladly have that conversation with you. And until that time, no, we will put a wall back up between America and, well, hello, there's one with Canada, isn't there? Don't you have to show a passport to get across to the northern border? Why is that the case? Wait a minute, when I go across to Mexico, guess what I have to show? My papers. Why is it not true coming here? They're sapping the life out of you and me. It's why we're having the conversation about affordable and attainable housing. It's why we're having the problems and the conversation about our kids, our parents, our grandparents with fentanyl use. Are you kidding me? And somebody's going to ask about keeping our borders open? No. You know where they're going? Exactly what Governor DeSantis said and Governor Abbott over in Texas. Put them on a bus and get them back to Biden and his cronies. They're out of here.
Same question for you, Mr. Trumbull. What is your position on immigrants who came here illegally? How should the state of Florida respond to Biden's failure to secure the border?
Listen, I don't blame anybody who wants to come to America. It's the greatest place on earth, even with all the issues that we have. But do it the right way. I mean, our country was built on immigrants moving here, and you hear wonderful success stories of people who've done it the right way and come here and have had the American dream. And so I think porous borders are probably one of the most significant things facing our country. It's more drugs, it's more crime. It's honestly, it burdens a little bit of our healthcare system. The fact of the matter is that we need to have a strong border. One thing that we actually did in the House budget this year, the budget that was able to pass, is we put some money in within the Department of Transportation that if we did find illegal immigrants, that we were to take them to Martha's Vineyard, and so we put the money in there for Biden to go to figure it out. So I do believe that this is incredibly important, an incredibly important issue that obviously the president cares nothing about, and or maybe he would love us to have a more porous border. I mean, the reality is that we have to have a secure country, and we have to make sure that we shore up our border systems.
45-second response, Ms. Piazza.
Yeah, Jay makes a great point, right? Once they're here, what do we do? Now, you can't just grab them all up and send them back home. That's not realistic, right? They are, in effect, without an actual citizenship, they are now our citizens. They are our neighbors, our workers. I mean, let's get real. They are our neighbors, and they are building our homes here, and they are waiting tables under the table here. So they are supporting in a certain way and undergirding our economic development, our growth right now. So what do we do with that? We need to care for those who are already here. And biblically speaking, you teach them how to fish, but you don't keep giving them fish, you don't keep giving them fish. You teach them to fish, and then let them go and teach others how to fish too. Let them be not a problem, but a solution provider with us.
Mr. Trumbull, 45-second response.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I would say is that it does put a significant burden on our current law enforcement. And you saw in that shooting in Texas where that mayor a few months beforehand was saying, "Hey, we are struggling. Our law enforcement is really struggling to secure the border and not be able to do some of the things that they were able to do. Maybe could have even been involved in stopping that shooting in Texas." So I think that's why this issue is so urgent.
Last question in the question and answer series goes to Mr. Trumbull. The recent FBI investigation of public corruption in Lynn Haven and Tallahassee have brought public trust in our elected officials to an all-time low. If elected, how will you assure voters that you are making the wisest use of their tax dollars and not funneling state money to friends and donors?
Daryl, that's an extremely important question, and it's honestly a black eye on our community, what's going on in Lynn Haven. That really makes me sad because we had so many good actors during that period of time helping their neighbors get things fixed, this, that, and the other. And we had a few bad actors. And I'm thankful that the system found out who those bad actors were and are pursuing those things. One thing that I was thankful for, or have been thankful for, is that the governor has the opportunity to remove people who don't follow the law or who are bad, just like the Broward County Sheriff. I think that was a significant move. But as it relates to what I do here, I grew up in Bay County. I have two businesses of my own. I work in a business with my father as well. In Bay County. My kids are raised here. I want what is best for this community, and thankfully have the opportunity now to expand that a little bit into this Northwest Florida community. And my goal has been the same goal that I've had the last 8 years, is to make sure that we take care of our folks, that I do everything I can, as have been the last 8 years, as one of 120, to be able to bring, whether that's needed resources or policies back home that are really beneficial to our folks, and make sure that we do have an open door policy, that we are able to listen to what some of the concerns are, and be able to tailor some of our issues and focus onto what those concerns might be.
Same question to you, Ms. Piazza. The recent FBI investigations of public corruption in Lynn Haven and Tallahassee have brought public trust in our elected officials to an all-time low. If elected, how will you assure voters that you are making the wisest use of their tax dollars and not funneling state money to friends and donors?
One of the exciting things about being a political outsider is you get to do really fun stuff with the people in your district. Listen, I am a God-fearing, liberty-loving political outsider. And what that means to you as it pertains to corruption and all of that, first of all, is that corruption goes back to the beginning of time, friends. That's not something that we will be able to take away anytime soon. But because we have the liberty to choose, right? Choose in all kinds of different ways. And because I am a political outsider, we do something that's called Plug In with Piazza, coffee and conversation, all throughout all 7 counties of our district. On Tuesdays, I'm in Crestview and then down in Santa Rosa Beach. And then on Wednesdays, I'm over in Defuniak Springs and also in Chipley. And on Thursdays, I'm in Lynn Haven and Bluntstown. You know what that is called, ladies and gentlemen? It's called transparency. And it's called transparency that produces accountability. My, oh my, how could there be corruption if you are willing to be transparent and accountable, to the people, for the people, with the people. But you can't do that if you don't get out and be with the people. See, I don't have anything to lose, ladies and gentlemen. Nothing. It's like I was telling you earlier. You can check my finances and find out real quick I have nothing to lose. Right? So right now, for transparency, I have it because I'm with you. And unfortunately, across the 7 counties of District 2, I hear it over and over and over again. My elected officials are not accessible. They will not call me. They will not email me. Guess what, ladies and gentlemen? Because I am a political outsider, you want my cell phone number? I'll give it to you right now. It's 850-830-4616. You want my email address? I'll give that to you too. No corruption here.
Thank you, Ms. Piazza. Response, Mr. Trumbull, 45 seconds.
The only thing I would say is this, is that, I reiterate that you can be as accessible as you want to, and I think we saw the mayor of Woodhaven be quite accessible, and we still got hoodwinked. My goal is to not just be a talker, but be a doer. And I want to be able to continue to serve in the Senate capacity, to be able to do for our community and make sure that we are pursuing the things that make this place the greatest place on earth.
45-second response, Ms. Piazza.
Yeah, Jay speaks a good word. And I realized real quick as I was responding to some of these, I'm like all fired up, y'all. And you know why I'm fired up? It's because of you. It's your fault. It's your fault. You've gotten in my heart and in my gut. And the reality is I need you. I cannot be your senator without your time and your talents and your treasures. I must have your support. Not to get me in the Senate, no. But for us to behave like a republic again, right? Empowered by the citizens. So guess what we need to do? Not what does Regina Piazza need to do? Because I will, because I already am. I'm here with you. But we together must step up and step out together for each other in our district.
Thank you for your comments. That brings an end to the question and answer portion of tonight's debate. And now we'll move into the closing statements. Ms. Piazza, if you will go first. 2 minutes to close, and then Mr. Trumbull.
Yeah, so what y'all have heard here tonight is a variety of different visions, right, for the future. For the future of our district. And I outlined earlier what my philosophy is, right, is faith, family, and Florida. And I want to absolutely assure you that I believe that small, fiscally responsible government is where it is at. I also believe that active political initiatives will preserve our Constitution and the basics, like we said, about life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And that God has brought me down a very unique path of life for this purpose, right here, right? Prepared me to serve you, not as a politician, but as your neighbor. And my game plan in order to be able to do that, what we said, is graduates, opportunity, and development, right? Because the students are our future, and I'm going to fight for parent-directed education choice and advocate for those vocational schools so we can minimize our shortage of skilled laborers. We have active proposals in place right now. Our people in District 2, they are ready to activate. But guess what? We cannot activate unless we get to the Senate August 23rd. Because the reality here is, if you do not elect Regina Piazza, on August 24th, you have a decision. You want the same? Or do you want fresh and new and growth and innovation and a perspective that goes beyond the political arena? That's why we are green, ladies and gentlemen. That's why we are green. So I have a heart for you. You know that. I'm absolutely a heart for transparency and accountability. And I have a track record that is absolutely proven to show that I have combined success with the discipline and the energy to do this job. And I absolutely, as you know, have the life experiences for us to represent the needs of all of you. Thank you for voting for Regina Piazza August 23rd.
Thank you, Ms. Piazza. Mr. Trumbull, 2 minutes to close.
Real quick, again, thank you for this opportunity. I think it's really a wonderful thing to be able to have folks be able to engage in the political process. Ms. Piazza, you're a pleasure. We got to meet last weekend. And I appreciate your love for the Lord. I've enjoyed meeting your family. It's great to be able to have somebody that you like in these type of environments. Listen, this country is on the brink of disaster. This state is the bastion of freedom. I have been on the front lines of this bastion of freedom for the last 8 years. My goal is to continue to push the envelope, to expand what we are capable of doing, and make sure that Florida continues to stay the free state that it is. That we continue to be the place that domestic migration continues at 800 plus people a day or more. That we continue to be a state that has the same population as the state of New York, maybe a little bit more, with half the budget. My goal is to make sure that our community, these seven counties, are not left behind. There are 2 members of the state Senate that live in the Central Time Zone, Senate District 1 and Senate District 2. There are 40 members of the legislature. This seat has to be held by somebody who has a strong voice and somebody willing and capable to be able to get our voices of District 2 heard. I'm, again, very, very appreciative of the governor who I've enjoyed serving with these last few years, endorsed me in this campaign. It's a great honor to be able to work for you in Tallahassee these last 8 years, and I'll very much appreciate your vote on August the 23rd. Thank you.
Thank you very much, both candidates. You did a great job tonight. Best of luck in the upcoming race. If you feel need to. All of this is an exercise in futility if you don't vote. Try to, if you can, get 2 more people that you may not know very well and see that they get to the polls or they get registered and that they cast their vote. It's the single most important thing you can do as a citizen of this country.